During the Second World War, armies faced more than bullets and artillery. They battled constant wind, sleet and freezing rain that tore through camps, disabled equipment and drained soldiers' strength. Yet long before nylon became the standard for tents and gear, Allied and Axis forces relied on a material far tougher, far more windproof, and, surprisingly, more effective in raw field conditions. It wasn't flashy, and it didn't need modern polymers to work. It was a tightly woven, waxed, oiled and pressure-treated cloth that resisted wind so well that even modern outdoor gear companies still copy the concept. For those who study history, survival or traditional craftsmanship, this forgotten fabric remains one of the most practical materials you can learn about and replicate today. The core of World War II windproof fabric was a dense weave finished with wax and oil that locked out wind better than early nylon. The foundation of this cloth was cotton twill, tightly woven at a density that prevented air from passing through. Early nylon tore easily, stretched under load, and turned brittle in cold weather. The World War II windproof cloth stayed flexible, durable, and nearly impermeable, even in sub-zero temperatures. Armies like the British and Americans, used variations known as ventile oiled cotton and waxed duck. The Germans, on the other hand, used similar tight-weave cotton that was heavily impregnated with oils and proprietary waterproofing compounds. The real success of this fabric, it started with the weave itself. Cotton fibres swell when wet, so a high thread count meant that moisture and wind caused the fibres to tighten even further, sealing the gaps. Once wax and oil were added, the cloth became a weatherproof skin that resisted tearing and abrasion. This is precisely why it performed so well in mountain warfare, Arctic patrols and maritime operations, where nylon often failed. Today, anyone can, recreate this principle by starting with a cotton canvas or duck cloth, increasing its density through boiling or shrinking, and finishing it with a wax-oil mixture. The result is a windproof fabric ideal for tarps, ponchos, tent panels or survival gear. The cloth's ability to resist wind made it invaluable in Arctic and aviation operations where nylon failed under stress. During the war, RAF pilots wore ventile jackets made from this material. When exposed to freezing wind at high altitude, nylon stiffened and cracked. The windproof cloth stayed pliable and, sealed itself tighter as moisture hit it. In survival situations, downed pilots in the North Atlantic relied on these garments because, when the fabric got wet, the threads swelled, creating an almost waterproof barrier that prevented wind chill from pulling heat from the body. Ground forces used it for shelter halves, pack covers and storm hoods. The United States Army Mountain Division depended on tight-weave oiled cloth for high-altitude camps around Italy and Austria. Wind at those elevations could, honestly, tear apart early synthetic tarps. The World War II cloth held its shape and deflected wind gusts without shredding. Anyone building their own shelter today, especially in windy regions, mountains or coastal areas, can use the same approach. A properly waxed and oiled canvas tarp blocks wind more effectively than many lightweight synthetics. It is quieter, less prone to snapping and, far more forgiving when exposed to sparks or abrasion. The fabric's treatment process gave it legendary durability that outlasted nylon by years, even with daily field abuse. The wax and oil mixture wasn't sprinkled on. It was heated and worked deeply into the fibres. Soldiers and craftsmen often used blends of beeswax, linseed oil, tallow and pine rosin to create a finish that bonded chemically as it cooled. This finish didn't sit on the surface like modern waterproof sprays. It became part of the cloth. As troops marched, crawled and dragged gear across rough terrain, the fabric flexed instead of tearing. Even when scratched, the wax could be warmed by the sun or hand friction, allowing it to reflow and self-seal small abrasions. To reproduce the treatment at home for a tarp or cloak, melt beeswax and a small amount of boiled linseed oil. Add pine rosin if you need extra tack. So you apply the mixture while it's warm, working it in with a brush or even with your hands, and then you heat the fabric again, either with a hairdryer or, over some gentle coals. This bonding step, well, that's what gives the cloth its World War II grade resilience. The cloth actually remained repairable in the field, and honestly, that mattered more than weight or appearance. A key advantage of the World War II windproof cloth was, really, its ability to be patched easily. Soldiers could heat some wax, rub it onto a tear, press a scrap of cloth over the wound, and seal the patch with, minimal equipment. Nylon, on the other hand, required specialized stitching, or these rather large patches, to prevent fraying. For frontline units and remote patrol groups, repairability often meant the difference between staying sheltered or being exposed to dangerous wind. Even survivalists today appreciate this same principle. Canvas, treated with wax and oil, responds well to field repairs using just simple tools. The material ages, you see, instead of failing abruptly. This is especially important for shelters, ground cloths and pack covers in long-term outdoor situations. The cloth's real value, truth be told, was that it balanced breathability, windproofing and weather protection, three traits that nylon, frankly, struggled to combine. So, nylon trapped moisture, Soldiers sweating inside those nylon garments ended up absolutely soaked from the inside, even while, staying dry outside. The World War II windproof cloth, on the other hand, avoided this problem. It allowed a limited amount of vapour to escape while still blocking wind penetration. This balance made it the preferred fabric for cold climates, where managing body temperature mattered just as much as, say, staying dry. So, for practical modern use, what this really means is that a waxed canvas tarp can serve as a durable windbreak, a shelter wall, or even a pack cover, and you won't run into those pesky condensation issues. It works exceptionally well, honestly, for bushcraft lean-tos, long-term camps, and even yurt-style tents. The World War II windproof cloth, it beat nylon because it relied on natural physics, not synthetic stretch. The swelling of cotton fibres when exposed to moisture, the density of the weave, and the bonding of wax and oil, all of that created a fabric that just adapted to the environment automatically. Nylon, on the other hand, fought the environment. The World War II fabric, it worked with it. For those who appreciate functional history, this is, quite frankly, one of the best examples of engineering that predates modern plastics, and yet continues to outperform them in real-world conditions. If you want more deep-dive historical breakdowns like this, knowledge you can actually use, make sure you subscribe and share this video. This channel keeps forgotten engineering alive, and your support, well, it helps bring more of it back into the spotlight.